All right. Hello, Tavin. How are you?
Doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How's your trombone playing going?
Going good.
Yeah? What are you working on for your solo this semester?
I'm working on Bach's cello suite, number 2, I think, or number 1.
Nice.
Yep. And then
There's no place to breathe in those.
I know. Right? And then I'm working on.
They weren't meant for trombone players. They were meant for cello players.
Yeah, and then I'm working on Gordon Jacobs' concertina or concerto.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that one a lot. Good. And then you'll play those for your jury and everything at the end of the semester. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Tavin is a music major. He's a trombone player. And at the end of the term, music majors have to play for a faculty committee to be advanced to the next level of music majordom. And so he's working on repertoire for that so that he can hit the level. Tavin's a great player. He won't have any trouble at all.
Oh, thank you.
Right, Tavin?
Yep.
Confidence is half of it.
I missed that. I just got a message from our harpist who says that one of her strings broke on her harp and she'll be here in a minute. That's kind of tough when your strings are breaking as a harpist. Right? Hello, Belorma.
Hello, Dr. Thompson.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
How are those boys?
They're good.
Yeah?
Home, still online.
Oh, yeah? So,
yeah.
So then I should ask, how are you doing?
Good.
Are you ready for them to go back to school?
Practicing. No, I'm just kidding. Not yet. I will.
Yeah. Are you ready for them to go back to school?
Yeah.
I think that's what every parent says.
Yeah. I'm so ready. Don't worry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like we're out for another semester at American River College. That was the latest I've heard.
So is it going to start next semester?
I don't think so. I don't think we'll be back until next fall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, then I'll miss you, Dr. Thompson.
I miss getting together.
I miss all my musicians too.
Yeah, I know. And playing music and all of that is tough to do.
All orchestras, I think they just postponed everything, right?
Yeah.
In this area, actually.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, you mean like professional groups and all of that?
No.
I've heard of some professional groups that are playing around the country doing things with smaller ensembles that are really spread out.
Most of them are wearing masks, something like that.
Right, yeah. And then I have a nephew in Indiana who's beginning to play trombone, actually, and he has a special bag kind of thing that they put over the end of the bell of the trombone that apparently is supposed to keep everybody safe.
Okay.
So,
here.
Yeah. I think it might be easier for string players, really, because you could put a mask on and play and be 6 feet apart. And maybe it's not so bad.
Yeah, we just always needed space, you know?
Yeah, right.
So,
You don't have flute players blowing.
Yeah, I'm just
Actually,
wondering what the brass and woodwind like are blowing with masks, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in backcountry in Mongolia, they're totally fine. Zero, so they're
Zero
open.
zero COVID in Mongolia?
Yeah. No, they just have, but just only the visitors, not the inside.
Oh, how
Yeah,
interesting.
they just quarantine them, then
Yeah.
everything's fine. Schools is like just very normal everything.
Are the borders pretty shut down in
Yeah,
Mongolia?
borders only shut down. Then they
Mhm.
just have only some scheduled flights. They
Yeah.
include very few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to see my puppy? You want to see the
Oh,
new
okay.
addition to my family here real fast before we start? Let me see if I can get him.
Family.
He's asleep though, so he's not going to like it.
Okay. Benjamin.
Say hi.
Oh,
You want to say hi? Hi, everybody.
Mr. Thompson has puppy.
Hello.
Benjamin is here. See? Who's in there?
Are you going to help me tonight?
You accept him?
Okay. Now we get serious.
How old is your puppy?
He's 9 weeks. He's 9 weeks.
Oh,
Now I smell like dog.
ooh, young. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so everything is good.
Everything is good. Yeah.
So you're just bored or you're okay?
I just
Kind
bored.
of busy or?
It's actually pretty busy keeping up with everybody online.
Yeah, the online thing is weird, huh?
I get hundreds of emails a day, and I'm trying to make it through all of those every day so that I don't leave anything hanging. And by the way, if I haven't gotten back to you in 24 hours or so, make sure and email me again, because sometimes things just get shuffled and I lose somebody. But I
Yes.
do, yeah, I do try to to wipe them all out by the end of the day, because it just exponentially reproduces in my box. So there's that, and then keeping things going in the classes and making sure that's all working. And then I'm revising the both of my textbooks right now. I have some new software I'm putting
For
in.
the lecture lesson, right? That
Yeah.
books. Okay. Well,
So there's that. There's writing that I do every day, and yeah. So it gets busy. I always look forward to these Wednesday nights. I don't think Anna has made it yet, though.
Oh, still fixing string.
Yeah, I think she's fixing the string on her.
Is she gonna perform something?
Yeah, she's gonna play for us.
Show, right? She will. Okay. Yeah, I miss her because
Yeah.
she was quite right. So interesting person, but we didn't have enough time to, communicate and to share all those thoughts and something like that. Yeah.
Right.
Going down.
Hello, Avital.
So it was really nice to talking to you.
It's good to talk to you too, Belorma.
Yeah, and then
Good to see you.
Yep. See you. Okay. I'll just shut the camera off because I'm gonna listen. So don't worry.
I'm just listening tonight too. Sorry, no camera for me.
Video. Okay.
Hey, there she is. Hi, Anna Maria. I'm going to unmute you. There she is. How are you? How's your harp?
Great. Good.
Maybe I'll make you a co-host here too. I think I hear your album playing there in the background.
Is that you or is that me?
That must be you.
Oh, okay, then let me turn it off. Sorry about that. Hold on. Hold on.
Yeah. It's kind of nice, actually.
Hold on, hold on. I know what it is. Okay, that's what it is.
Oh, the joys of Zoom. Okay,
Great.
before we start, everyone,
Background music.
yes, that's right. Before we start, everyone, if you turn your videos off, and that'll help a little bit, especially when she plays with us, and I appreciate that. And also, I need to establish some ground rules. So you'll have questions that are 2 minutes long that you can respond to, and I might interrupt you a lot. Anybody watch the debates last night? Nobody watched the debates, just me.
You can tell us all about it.
We have no rules then. No rules at all here. Yeah. Okay. Well, welcome everyone. It's good to see you, and welcome Anna Maria. And I'll tell you a little bit about her here, and just reading briefly from her bio, because she has, well, a huge amount of experience, and you'll have a chance to ask her any questions that you'd like tonight. And I try to keep track of those and give you some extra credit for if I use one of your questions, or if I pass those on to her. So keep those coming, and I'll keep looking at the chat as she's talking and do that. So I know Anna Maria originally from playing in Sacramento Philharmonic and the opera and all of that downtown. And I'm not a regular player with those groups, but every once in a while they call me to sub, and she's always playing there and plays everywhere around Northern California and beyond. And so is very well known in the area. Lives in San Francisco and does quite a bit of work there. So I have here on her bio, she's played with the San Francisco Symphony, one of the great orchestras of our time, the San Francisco Opera, San Francisco Ballet, the Russian National Orchestra, the Russian State Ballet. She's performed for Pope Benedict the 16th, President Clinton, President Gorbachev, the King and Queen of Spain, for National Hispanic Week in Washington, D.C., and the World Youth Day events in Madrid. She's toured Spain many times and specializes in playing Spanish music and the Argentine tango. Lots of albums to her credit. She's appeared in movies, on television, on national radio. She's performed with the opera singer Federica von Stade, who's a very well-known opera star, Andrea Bocelli, Josh Groban, Frank Sinatra Jr., Olivia Newton-John, and Barry Manilow. Those are some names that you might know. Old guys like me might know. Barry Manilow calls her his favorite harpist, and yeah. And then she dances as part of her shows with Tango de Cielo, and she has a new album out, and it's doing quite well. And so I wanted to first have you talk with us a little bit about that, about your new album and how that's doing, and
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Hi, everybody. I'm really thrilled to see you and thrilled to be here. Thank you, Steven, for asking me to come. And what a great program to be able to talk about the opera Carmen and all aspects about it. The opera Carmen is probably one of the most well-loved operas of all time. So I'm thrilled and honored to be here. And thank you for asking me about the album. I'll just put it up here right now. This is the album. It's called Tango del Cielo. There we go. Tango del Cielo, which means Tango of Heaven. And the album itself actually features not only Argentine tango, but music of Spain as well. So it's with harp and orchestra. We recorded at Skywalker Sound, which is where they film a lot of the music. They record the music for a lot of the movies and Star Wars, the whole Star Wars movies and such. So it was really a thrill to be there. The album was just released a month ago, and I'm happy to share that it debuted at #2 on the Billboard Classical Crossover charts. So I'm excited about that. And today is the first, it's been submitted for Grammys and for many categories. And so today is the very first voting day of the first round of the Grammys. And so that's very exciting. I'm learning so much about the whole process. So yes. What can I answer for you?
Yeah. Well, what does it take to get you to #1 on the Billboard charts?
On the Billboard charts? Well, right now, I'll tell you who's in #1. It's San Francisco Symphony with Metallica. So that's going to be a tough one to try to top. Metallica and San Francisco Symphony. But
nobody listens to Metallica anymore. It's all right.
So, but you know what? I would love it if you could go to the website, tangodelcielo.com, and maybe we can even put that in the chat, tangodelcielo.com, or I'll put it in. And thank you, everybody. If you can go to the website, just from me to you, the record company has given me the chance to share a discount, a 50% off discount. So that means a downloadable album would actually only be $6. So I would love it if you could. That would be great. Go ahead and purchase the album, and you will be contributing to really an incredible project and with an amazing team, and you'll help a dream come true at the same time. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your group. We've worked together a little bit.
Yes, exactly.
They don't know about you.
That's right. So the group is also Tango del Cielo, and the touring show is called Tango del Cielo. We tour all over the country, and last year we were invited to be the featured show for the World Tango Festival in Victoria, Canada. So that was a thrill. That really was. It's made up of harp, strings, percussion, and dancers. The dancers are flamenco and tango dancers, and many international champions are dancing as a part of the show. So you can always go to the YouTube, go to my YouTube channel, which is Harp Tango, and you'll see some of the dancing. You'll see some of the shows, and also our latest video, which is Libre Tango in Buenos Aires, which is really a fun music video. And I have to say, it takes place in Buenos Aires on location. And it's in a very famous spot where it's usually full of tourists, very colorful, very full, and always busy. But we filmed on the day after New Year's as part of the plan to get there when everybody was sleeping. So we got there at 4:30 in the morning to start filming. And when everybody was partied out from New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, that was the ideal time to get in there and film.
So how did you get started with tango? I know you dance a little bit.
Yes, I come from a family. Yeah, I do actually. I come from a family of dancers, and my sister is a flamenco dancer. My father was the president, the executive director actually of Theater Flamenco of San Francisco. All of my family we were just raised with music and dance. And since I come from Spanish roots, my grandfathers came from Spain, my grandmothers came from Mexico and Guatemala, and we have lots of family in South America. We were raised listening to this music. And so that's why it's very much a part of my show and part of, really it's part of my roots. And so that's why I'm drawn to it.
Yeah, and so when you came up and played with, a few years ago, actually maybe it was last year, maybe it was only last year, you came and played with your group in our orchestra.
Yeah.
And you brought a group of percussionists, and a violinist, a bass player, and you. Right. And do you have more and dancers?
That's right.
And do you have more members of your group usually?
I do. Actually, we have the size can vary depending on the size of the stage, and so the minimum is usually about 4 musicians and 2 dancers, and then I become a 3rd dancer as part of the show too. So that's the minimum, but it can expand to a much bigger group, a small ensemble, and even a few couples of dancers on the stage too, depending on the size of the stage.
And so, and your brother does production, does like
That's right. He's a
yeah.
filmmaker. And so it's very
Okay.
handy to have, it really is very handy to come from a family involved in the performing arts. So my sister dances, my brother is the film director and stage director. He creates all the backdrops with the moving images and interactive film with the
Yeah,
dancers.
it's a great show.
Thank
It
you.
was really a lot of fun working with you guys,
Oh, you guys are
and
great.
well, exceptional musicians all around. It
Well,
was a real highlight of it's
I-
been a real highlight of my time at American River College when I
thank
had you guys there. So
Thank you.
yeah,
And
we really
your
enjoyed it.
orchestra was great. And they were able to pick up the different tango techniques right away, which was fantastic because
Yeah.
those are things that are not easy to interpret. And definitely you can't just play the music as it's written on the page. You have to play it a certain way, with a certain style. And your orchestra totally picked that up. It was really great.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you.
job. Good job.
Well, maybe that leads us a little bit to when we talk about techniques and things that are Spanish and the way that they're put together or presented, and in the opera Carmen with Bizet's score, what he was trying to do there, which was give a Spanish feel to this Spanish story, right? And I don't know if any of you have read some of the materials that I put out there, but when Carmen eventually made its, remember that Carmen was a French opera, but there was this fascination with all things Spanish, right? Because it was cool and kind of maybe kind of sexy. Maybe who knew exactly what that was all going on over there in Spain, right? And so the storyline was written in a certain way that when it premiered in Madrid, there was people were like, "Hey, that's not really about us at all. What's this cultural appropriation?" And back in the day, we wouldn't use those words, but that was kind of the idea. But one of the things that they did comment on, the critics did comment on at the time, was how well Bizet captured the music of Spain, how well he was able to put those techniques together and to give a pretty passable representation of the sounds of the music of Spain. And I wondered if you might comment on that a little bit.
Sure, sure. I think what's fascinating is that Bizet, just like many French composers, were fascinated with Spain. Spain and France next to each other, the Basque Country right in the middle, in the mountains, with the mountains, Pyrenees Mountains in between. Bizet actually never made it to Spain, believe it or not. He actually never was there in the country, but he was fascinated with the music, and he was very smart to capture the rhythms and the folk music of Spain. He wanted it to be as authentic as possible. So he tried to basically savor those beautiful folk melodies, Spanish folk melodies, and he would expand on those for his music. And what I also heard is that the story was based on a novella that was very popular at the time. And also Bizet himself was having an affair too. So this whole thing was very, very attractive to him. And so he definitely was borrowing a lot of the rhythms from Spain. And to make it even more authentic, the seguidilla, it was borrowed from flamenco music. Seguidilla is a very flamenco style. Flamenco is so much a part of Spain's history. Fascinating in a way is that it developed from the gypsies. The gypsies were basically, they were really living on the outskirts of Spain, and then at the time of, I guess it was the 1500s, there was a persecution of Jews and the gypsies as well, and it was very, very very tragic time in Spain's history. So because of that turmoil, the gypsies carried that sorrow and that intense emotion in their music and in their dancing. And so the gypsies basically would travel all through that area, through northern Africa and through southern Spain. And so with them, they were bringing the rhythms also from Africa and the Moors. And so they, it's fascinating to note that the singing, the style of singing, very guttural from the gut, and it's a very interesting type of voice, very rough, very not operatic at all, but it's very much a part of the Spanish style. So it's interesting that Bizet wanted to capture that Spanish flavor. So he not only borrowed the rhythm of the flamenco rhythm of the seguidilla, but also interesting, I think is fascinating, is that the main character, Carmen, is not a soprano. And so her voice is of a lower tone, and that's very much coincides with the kind of guttural singers of the flamenco style as well. So that's one of my favorite aspects of Carmen, is that whole Spanish rhythm behind the melodies. It's really fascinating.
So what makes a piece of music flamenco? What are the stylistic characteristics of that?
Oh, okay. What makes a piece flamenco would be the accents in the rhythm. One of the things that when I started playing flamenco music, I was already a trained classical musician, so I thought very linearly, I can't say it, linearly, in terms of like 4/4 time. And you normally would stress the downbeat of the measure and of every measure. And so that was very standard, very predictable. When I started playing flamenco music, it totally threw me for a loop, because they were counting in 12 and not even starting with 1. They were starting their rhythm on beat 12. So their rhythms were 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. In fact, that will be a fun thing for us to do as a group right here. It's and the palmas is another part of the flamenco style as well. And so this is something that the singers would accompany with clapping, but clapping in a special way. And even the audience would be able to participate too. And all of you can do that. So let's try it out. So palmas. Palmas means clapping, basically, the palms of your hands and clapping. And there are 2 styles of palmas. There's mudas, which is more muted, soft, and you cup your hands. And so you clap like this, clapping with your hands cupped together and together. So like you're forming a little ball. So, and you can see that it's very, very soft, but it still creates a particular sound compared to the altas, which is a higher form of palmas. And so this is, you would then take one hand and hit the palm of the other, and you would get a higher sound. So I want you to try that too. So then you've got the mudas, the soft, and the altas. And so if we try now counting, why don't we try the Bulgaria rhythm is the 12. And so how many musicians do we have here? A lot? Okay, that's okay, but everybody can count, so that's all you need. So what we're going to do is, remember this, we're going to beat hard with the let's do okay, we're going to use the mudas on the strong beats, and the strong beats are going to do this. Strong beats are on beat 12, 3, 7, 8, and 10. So let's think that out. So 12, 3, 7, 8, 10. So this is what you would be doing. You would be doing 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2. I almost messed up. So, okay, so let's Shall we do it again, but a little faster? This will be fun. All right, here we go. In a faster rhythm. So 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Ready? Here we go. 1, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4. So how did that go, you guys? How did that go? Was it easier? Okay, you guys got it? Good.
That was challenging.
It's challenging. It is. It is. And it was
The
so
last
hard. It was so hard to play with the group. And I felt like I was such a you know, I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. It was so hard. But that's, and the question always is, well, why can't they start with 1? Why do they have to start on 12? I don't know. I ask that all the time of flamenco musicians and dancers. And that's the big question. Nobody knows. It's just the tradition. You start on 12.
That's wow. Wow, that must have been an
Funny.
experience. So I mean, I often think of flamenco as something that guitarists do, right?
Right.
But is that something that spans across all kinds of different instruments? And
Yeah, you know what? A lot of instruments can play flamenco, but the guitar is definitely the traditional instrument. Guitar and the cajon. The cajon, I don't know if do I have one close by? No, I don't. A cajon is a box, and I'm sure you've seen this in Latin groups, where one of the percussionists will be sitting on a wooden box, and that actually is a musical instrument, and they're beating. It's a specially made instrument. Some of the it's a hollow square box, but one side has snares on the inside, which give it a very metallic, tinny sound when you slap it. And then another part of the box has the hollow sound without the snares, has the hollow, since it's a hollow box, will have a deeper sound. So it's fascinating where they can get so many different sounds and effects just from a wooden box.
like a beatbox kind of.
The beatbox,
thing.
right.
Yeah.
So the 3 main things in instruments in flamenco would be the guitar, the cajon, and the singer.
How about castanets? How do those come in?
Castanets.
You guys know what castanets are? You know,
Castanets are
the click clacky things.
That's right, that the flamenco dancers perform with in their hands. Now, there's a legend that it comes from seashells. Originally, it originated with the oh goodness, southern in the Mediterranean. With Venetian seashells was the legend of that. It started with seashells, but it's very much a part of flamenco dancing as well. So when my sister performs, when we do outreach concerts, she tells the kids, now one of them is the male castanet. They really think this is the training is one is the male and one is the female. The male beats the solid beats in a slower tempo, and the female does all the quick. So the way she said it, the female is always talking, and the male is yes dear, yes dear, yes dear. Now the female goes click. So it's really oh, I should also point out what I'm wearing is very as part of a Spanish tradition as well. I'm wearing polka dots, and the polka dots on flamenco costumes in flamenco tradition, polka dots is very popular because the polka dots represent the moon, and gypsies believe that the moon was good luck. And so the gypsies would cover themselves with polka dots, circles all the time. And so that's what's behind the flamenco costumes.
Well, that's cool about polka dots. I had no idea that there was that connection.
Yeah.
So then how about tango? Does flamenco have roots in flamenco, and then how does tango? Well, how does it get to Argentina? Why does that become such a big part of Argentinians?
That's great. That's great. Good question. And yes, they are connected. A lot of people don't realize that they're very much connected. In fact, since you're studying the opera Carmen, one of the very famous arias is the habanera that Carmen sings. 5 bum 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 da 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 da. So you've got that rhythm, which is very similar to a tango rhythm. So during the Spanish exploration, Spain was sending out their ships all over the world, and when it reached, basically when they explored South America, the Spaniards not only brought their music and melodies to South America, but they brought back with them the rhythms of South America. And so that would, and they would come, their route basically was down to South America and then coming back through Cuba. So that's how come we get so many similar Spanish rhythms between Spain and South America and Cuba. And definitely, you know, it's also connected with the African rhythms too. But what's interesting is that there's it's a whole part of the culture. They were called round trip songs, and that Spain would bring back the music and the rhythms from South America, and then incorporate it into their flamenco music, into their traditional music. And that's where you would get the combination of the tango and the habanera in both countries. And so it's fascinating how they are connected. So let's see.
The habanera is that's Havana, right? That's actually Cuban, and so that's where that link comes from.
That's
right.
And Cuba back to Spain.
Right. So the tango then is a newer form than the flamenco.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I could say that, but tango is very much its own style, its own genre altogether. But they are connected.
And the dancing that goes with tango, is that something that it comes out of Argentinian culture, or was that a Spanish culture?
The tango came out of the Argentinian culture, and it was what was, I guess they believe that there are also the roots of tango dancing came from Africa, and so when really, I guess it began way back in the 1880s at the ports of Buenos Aires, and the area is called La Boca. In fact, you know what? If you see the music video, the Libre Tango music video that we just released, that was filmed at La Boca, which is the port area of Buenos Aires. And that's where tango is believed to have originated. Argentine tango was believed to have originated. And that area, that little neighborhood, is called El Caminito, which means the little street. La Boca means the mouth, that's the port area. And that little area that's very colorful in the video, that's called El Caminito. And so that's believed to have been the birthplace of tango. There on the docks in Buenos Aires.
And then tango became popular in this country with the silent films, right? I remember you telling me about this.
Yeah.
And is it Valentino, Rudolph Valentino, who was?
Yes, Rudolph Valentino and many of the silent movie stars, but definitely Rudolph Valentino first introduced tango in a big way to the United States through the silent films. Tango, I should probably back up a bit. Tango in the early 1900s was let's see, not considered a very elite kind of social dancing. And the Europeans, when they were on vacation, the European gentlemen would go to South America, and they learned how to tango, and they brought the tango to Europe. And when they brought the tango to Europe, that's when it became a part of high society. And so it was very popular in Europe. And then in the United States, Rudolph Valentino, who came from Italy, he was a dancer in Italy, and that was his profession, a taxi dancer in Italy. So when he came to the United States to star in the silent movies, his very first movie was to dance the tango in the opening scene, and a very dramatic tango. And he basically became a success overnight. And everybody was swept up with tango in the 1920s because of that. And my great aunt was Rudolph Valentino's co-star for many movies.
Oh,
And
no
that's
kidding.
how the connection came. Yeah.
Wow, wow. So, so in Spain, they had these things called zarzuelas. Is that correct? It is
Zarzuelas.
okay. Could you say it for me again? Because I often mispronounce.
No, that's okay. Zarzuelas. Zarzuelas are Spanish operas. They're like our musical theater, but as part of the Spanish culture. Short musical stories.
I see. So were they operatic in the way that they were put together? Or were they operatic in the way that they were put together?
Well, I don't think so. I don't think so originally, but I think it became that way afterwards. It's definitely. I know that Placido Domingo would do a lot of zarzuelas. I was almost hired to do a zarzuela with him at one point in Los Angeles.
So it's still a popular form.
Oh, it is definitely.
Ah, wow. Okay.
And so it would incorporate music, dance, and singing, all three together combined. And they would be short musical stories.
Yeah, great. Well, are there any questions here from all of you guys? I've been sort of hogging the mic. I haven't seen a lot come up yet.
Oh, very challenging. Okay, I can see the comments. Yes, the rhythms, those were challenging. Hey, would you guys like to hear some music? Would you like to hear some music?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yes, please.
That's great. Let's do that. Let's do that. And so what's fun about Spain, from my perspective as a harpist, is that Spain had a very special connection with harp. In fact, in the 1500s, it was considered, it was really a revered instrument, considered a very, very special instrument. So I'm going to play for you. Oh, I should back up a bit. And they were actually very ahead of their time with how they played the harp. So during the 1500s, the Spanish invented a chromatic harp. A chromatic harp was a harp that was able to play chromatics, sharps and flats, by having two sets of strings that crisscrossed in the middle. So it would almost resemble the keyboard in a way. One set would be dark and one set would be white. And so it was an invention during the 1500s to allow the harp to play with more versatility. So I'm going to play for you a piece that was actually originally composed for a chromatic harp with two rows of strings. The harp itself has not really lasted. There are very few harps around the world that are harpists that do play that type of harp. But the music is fascinating. It's fantastic. So I'm going to play for you a piece that combines all of this. It's called tientos. Tientos is kind of like a play on words, meaning temptations, but it's also a flamenco style. So this piece is called Tientos by Raúl La Parra, and it's on my album too. So you'll get to hear it there. And originally composed for a chromatic harp, but I arranged it with my teacher, actually many, many years ago, Marjorie Chevelle, and we created this arrangement, we began this arrangement, and then I expanded on the arrangement when I started performing and touring with it. So it's called Tientos. I'm going to play for you on the harp. And this is a concert harp. It's a pedal harp, so it's got pedals instead of the chromatics and instead of levers. So let's see, just for the fun of it, I'm going to take my computer and just show you the base of the harp so you can see the pedals. Okay, so I have 7 pedals on the harp for the 7 notes in the scale. Each pedal has 3 different positions for flat, natural, and sharp. So basically, whatever key I'm playing in, I set the pedals in a certain pattern and set in that key, ready to begin the piece until I've got those accidentals, those chromatics. I have to then move my feet very, very fast when I play. So let me just check some notes because I had a string break right before our show. Hold on. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out my microphone out of the computer and let the computer mic pick it up. Thank you. Thank you.
Who is the composer on that piece?
Hey there. All right. Oh,
It's beautiful.
well, thank you.
Anna Maria, who was the composer?
Composer, I was just going to say, is Raul Lapara. Raul Lapara. And,
Who are some of the most famous Spanish composers that?
okay, Manuel de Falla is definitely a composer you should explore. Manuel de Falla composed The Three-Cornered Hat, La Vida Breve, wonderful Spanish music. And when I played in Spain for World Youth Day with a Spanish orchestra, they chose Manuel de Falla's music to perform for the Pope and for the world as a way of showcasing Spanish music. So Manuel de Falla I thought that was very interesting. So that's who they chose to be representing their music. So Manuel de Falla is one. Joaquin Rodrigo, definitely you should check out Joaquin Rodrigo. In fact, I'll play a little snippet of something. Joaquin Rodrigo is famous for his guitar concerto called Concierto de Aranjuez. And he composed that concerto. That's probably the most famous guitar concerto in all time. So if you get a chance to listen to it, it's a fascinating, beautiful piece. And he is using snippets of folk music from different provinces in Spain. He's actually using historic folk music in his piece, and that was on purpose because he composed the piece in the 1930s, right after the Spanish Civil War, and so he offered this piece as a way for the country to heal, and he took snippets of the folk music and put it into his music. And so when Spaniards heard it, they knew exactly what he was doing and what that meant. And so he was offering this as a way of healing for the country. So if you get a chance to hear his music, it's incredibly beautiful. Let me see if I can play just a little bit for you, and you might just recognize it. And here we go. Joaquin Rodrigo, by the way, was blind. A lot of people don't know that. He was blind since the age of 3. And when he composed this piece, it's amazing. He had I have visited his studio every time I go to Madrid. I visit the family, and they gave me a tour of his studio, which is now turned into a museum. He had a special machine that he used that would type out the music, and that he would use, kind of like a Braille machine, but writing music. Hold on, let me just check some notes. Another composer, by the way, is Granados, Enrique Granados. He was considered, there we go. He was considered one of the Spanish composers that helped to bring a feeling of nationalism to his music. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to play a little bit of this, and I think you might recognize it. So hold on. Taking out the microphone. you recognize this piece? Hold on, hold on. There we go. Do any of you recognize the melody at all? Guitar, famous guitar concerto. And that's the second movement, the middle movement, which is really especially beautiful. So if you get a chance to listen to his music, I'd highly recommend it.
Incredible. It's beautiful. Thank you.
You're
All
welcome.
these comments. Yeah, yeah. And I love the Rodrigo. I did
Yeah.
that a few years ago with
Thank you.
a chamber orchestra, and one of our guitar faculty played it. And,
Oh,
it was,
nice.
yeah, it was really nice. And we also did a Rodrigo concerto for castanets and orchestra, just castanets. And that was,
Really?
yeah, it was
No
very cool.
kidding.
It's hardly ever performed, and I found it just by mistake in as a recording in a old bin at Tower Records, back when you could go to Tower Records and look
Wow.
around, right? And there it was. And so I had to search around to find the people who had the rights to it and the music, and they sent it to me, and it looked like it had just been scrawled in his hand, like it would, you know, nobody ever said it, typeset it or anything. And,
Wow.
and the castanet part was improvised. So the player who came to play was a really great castanet player, and he just improvised the whole thing. It's really amazing. It was a lot of
What
fun.
a story. So
Yeah.
that's the concerto for castanets.
And orchestra, yeah. And chamber
Fantastic.
orchestra. Yeah.
Then you would have been in contact with the Rodrigo Foundation in Madrid, because they've made sure to collect all of his music. And so if anyone wants to play his music, they're the central headquarters that distributes it. So if you saw the scribbles on it, that probably was Rodrigo's.
That may have been. It's been many years, but
Oh,
wow.
that's
So
exciting.
wow. So okay, everybody, you have to help Anna Maria knock the San Francisco Symphony and Metallica out of first place on the Billboard charts.
Oh,
And you have to let us know too if you are actually in the round for the
Thank
Grammys.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate that.
We hope to hear that. So how does that work? It goes to a committee that reviews everything?
Well, the way it works, yeah, see, I'm learning all about this. The way it works is that right now is the first round. So for the next 2 weeks, members of the Recording Academy get to vote in different categories. There are 82 categories across many, many genres, and the Recording Academy members get to vote on and they have to, basically, they narrow it down to just five nominees for each category. So for the, there are probably about 20,000 entries through Grammy entries of all genres, but for the classical music, there are probably maybe about 2,000. And so it's quite an interesting process. So the first 2 weeks, this is going to be first round. They make the announcements in probably November, who the nominees are. And then there will be a second round of voting that takes place probably the beginning of January is what I'm guessing, because the actual awards ceremony will be January 31st. And that's when they make the announcements of who won. So yeah, it's been quite a journey.
So if you're nominated, do you get to go to the ceremony and all of that?
Yes, that's right.
Wow,
Even if you're not nominated, you get to buy a ticket and go. But if you're nominated, you definitely have to go.
So you get to hobnob with all those people.
I heard they have parties all day long and all night long. And the award ceremony really does take hours long. What we see on the television is just the highlights, really. They save the most popular awards for the actual television show.
Oh, that's exciting.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for COVID, you know what? If it wasn't for COVID, I wouldn't have gotten the album done. It was because of COVID that this happened. I started the album about 5 years ago, and it just took me a long time to finish it just because I was busy performing. And then when COVID happened, all of my concerts were canceled, like everybody else's. And so I thought, well, gosh, what am I going to do with my time? I guess I better finish that album. And I worked on it with the engineer. We kept working on the mixing, the editing, and then I got a call from one of the composer, the Spanish composer, actually for another project, is writing some music for me. And I told her about this album. I said, well, if you can finish it, I'll put it on the album. She said, well, send me the track. So I did. And she called me up right away from Spain. She says, I love your album. I want to support it. I want to submit it to the Latin Grammys, but you got to finish it in 2 weeks. It was like, ugh. So we basically put the, we put everything into, ramped it up 1,000%. We finished it on time, but because of COVID, the distribution companies couldn't release it in time. So one of the other composers said, just, this is all good. It's better for you to take time, package it up into as a CD, make it into a beautiful package, and then these composers wanted to submit it for American Grammys. And that's basically, if it weren't for COVID, I found out through the process of the submissions that you're only allowed 5 years from the first date of your recording session to the date of the release of the album. And if I had waited any longer, I would not have been able to qualify. So it's really thanks to this interesting situation that we're in.
And you were telling me earlier today that you had to actually put it out as an independent label. Right. But you have some major labels that are interested.
That's right. Yeah, actually, we got a lot of label offers. The only thing is that because of the deadlines for the Grammys, and because of COVID, they couldn't do the turnaround in time for the album to still be submitted and released in time, because it had to be released by August 31st. And that was too quick for the bigger companies. And so I was sharing with a friend of mine my dilemma. And my friend is a partner for a smaller record company. And she says, well, our record company is too small. You know, you probably wouldn't be interested in us, but I'll help you release it as an independent. So that way it could still be attractive to the bigger companies. And with her help and with their connections with distribution, we were able to actually release it as an independent and make it in time for all those Grammy deadlines. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
I know, really.
Before I forget, I have another question for you that's unrelated. Do you have a favorite Spanish cookie?
No, oh, Spanish cookie, no kidding.
Spanish inspired cookie of any kind?
I don't. I'm not.
How about the alfajores? Do you like those?
You know what? I'm not a cookie person, actually. That's so funny. Oh, funny.
That's the code word. We use a cookie every time as our code word for the lecture. So that's
no kidding. That's okay, great. That's great. I love it. But yeah, so if anybody gets a chance to go to Spain when COVID is over, I totally encourage it, because it's one of the few countries that still has the old world European flavor to it. They have a whole different time clock. They stay up really late. They sleep in the middle of the day for their siestas and because of the heat. And you'll see families at 11 and midnight walking their babies in their strollers out on the streets. It's quite something. And gypsies still dance in the caves too. You can go and see flamenco dancing and go have some wine in the caves. It's really cool. Very cool.
Wow. And which part of Spain would you see that?
Oh, southern Spain is what's famous for their dancing.
So Madrid and Barcelona.
Actually, if you go to the areas like Granada, Valencia, Andalusia, that whole area is what's the Andalusian culture is really where flamenco dancing was most centralized in Spain. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, you guys.
Yeah, everybody.
You guys are all wonderful. Thank you.
We're all very quiet.
I know. So have you been enjoying?
Very well behaved.
Oh, they are. Has everybody been? Oh, thank you. I can see that. Good luck with the Grammys. Thank you so much. Have you been having fun with the Carmen lectures? Yeah, that's great. Good, good.
We had a really fun one last week. I think David is here, and I was telling you that he's an attorney and in the region, and he was telling us all the ins and outs of murder.
Oh gosh.
And yeah, a little dark, but it was very entertaining and interesting.
That must have been fun.
Enjoyed it, yeah.
Well, cool, cool. Well, I hope
All
you
right.
guys get to go to Spain sometime.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna Maria, and good luck with your album.
Thank you.
When you know you're a big star, I hope you'll remember this Zoom session.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And don't forget that there's a code, Tango50, and you can get it half off if you go to the website.
50.
Tango50. Get 50% off. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening,
Steve.
and I'll see you next
Thank
week.
you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Hey,
Have a good
Professor.
night.
I have a question, Professor.
Yes.
What is the zip code for the box?
The code?
Yeah, the code. Yeah.
I'll put it one more time here in the chat.
Thank you.
Dr. Thompson, I'm sorry. Where did she say we could purchase her
Here.
album?
Oh, thank you so much, everybody. I'll put it in the chat right now.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. tangodelcielo.com, and the code is Tango 50. There we go. There we go. Oh, you guys are
Wonderful.
great.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us tonight, and good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. Appreciate
Have a
it.
good night.
Take care and have a good night. Bye.
Professor, so the zip code is 10GO50.
TANGO Tango 50.
So this is the zip code, right?
That's it.
No, for putting
that's
for put it in the assignment, you write Alpha Cookies, not what she's saying about the music.
Tell me.
Tango 50. Tango 50 is the code if you'd like to purchase her album, and you can do it as a download or a CD, and that gets you half off. If you'd like to do that, if you like to use that code, you can do that. But the code.
No, I'm asking for the canvas, like if we did the yes.
Yeah, so look there in the chat. I put it in 3 times now. Find my name, and you'll be able to see what the code is.
Oh. Someone asked, what key was the Manuel de Falla song in? Well, the piece that I played was by Joaquin Rodrigo, and that was in the key of B minor, B as in boy, minor. The first one that I played was Tientos by Raul Lapata, and that was E minor, I believe. Cool.
We were just checking to see if you know what key you were playing in.
Ah, great.
Yeah, we'll make sure.
Cool.
Is that on your new album? What are some of the tracks? What do you have on there?
What are some of the tracks? Okay, Libre Tango, which is the music video. Asturias, which was the music that you got to hear when I first started. Asturias is by Isaac Albanese. And speaking of Spanish themes, and he basically definitely borrowed, this was definitely a part of the round trip songs that I was talking about. So Asturias by Isaac Albanese, Bordel 1900 by Astor Piazzolla, Introducción al Ángel, Introduction of an Angel by Piazzolla as well. Milonga en el Viento, which means Dance of the Wind by Pablo Ziegler. Jealousy, that very famous tango, Jealousy, probably one of the most famous tangos. So that's by Jacob Gade, and that was composed for the silent movies, for one of the first Zorro movies. That was Jealousy. Oblivion, which is by Astor Piazzolla, And that was arranged by Jorge Calandrelli. And there's a special story with that you'll, if you get a chance to read the booklet, it's quite a fascinating story. And that's up for arrangement as for a Grammy consideration. Au Cologne, which means at the Cologne, meaning at the Cologne Theater, which is the most, one of the best opera houses in the world, and definitely Argentina's finest opera house. And so it's believed, basically, when they like a musician or a performance, they say bravo, but they'll sometimes say Au Cologne, Au Cologne. And that means if they like your music so much, you should be performing at the Cologne Theater. So that's an original composition, Au Cologne. Ave Maria by Piazzolla. La Comparsita, that's the most famous tango ever in all time. La Comparsita. Tientos, which was this piece. Malagueña, which is a famous piece about Spain, and by a Cuban composer, Ernesto Lecuona. There we go. And then I composed a piece on there too. That's a tag to the Malagueña.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Gosh, thank you. Thanks.
I have my copy.
Yay,
So,
thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Maybe I should share the story of Oblivion. Oblivion is one of Astor Piazzolla's most beloved tangos, and it was composed for a movie, and it was very popular at that time. And Piazzolla is one of the most famous tango composers. He died in 1994, I believe. And so when he composed that piece and it was already popular, he asked Jorge Calandrelli, who's the man who arranged for my album, he asked Jorge to create an arrangement, an orchestration of Oblivion so they could record it. So they were in the recording studio. Basically, Jorge, he was just a budding composer at the time, and he was so honored, and he looked up at Piazzolla as his mentor. So they were all ready with the Royal Philharmonic to record in London. They were in the recording studio, and they were recording that piece, and then they got the call that Piazzolla had suddenly died. So production stopped, and then Jorge wrote a beautiful interlude that he inserted into the middle of the piece. And then they went into the studio, they re-recorded it, and that arrangement was what won Piazzolla his very first Grammy after his death. But that arrangement was what won him his first Grammy, and now he recreated the arrangement for this album with having the harp as the main voice. In the original, it was with an oboe, but for this one, with the harp as the main voice. And so that's why it's got a special connection with the Grammys and with the history of Piazzolla. Mm. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very interesting lecture tonight. Interview lecture. Yeah. And I didn't even interrupt you.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. So it's a very special piece, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, how are the other members of your group feeling? Are they I imagine
everybody's excited. Everybody's excited and thrilled, especially right now with concerts having been canceled. This is giving everybody a big perk. Absolutely.
Right. Has there been any work at all? Anything that people have been doing, or?
Well, we're doing lots of things that are online, and that's where everybody really has to turn to. So we have some concerts that are scheduled for next year, but we now have to have a clause in our contract that if it's canceled because of COVID, we have to have a version to be able to perform for them online. And so we're working out all different kinds of creative ways to perform this music with different cameras and programming and so forth, and at a theater. So we're looking into that.
Mm-hmm. And do you guys all, when you do perform online, do you perform all? Do you guys all come to the same place, or do you try to do that?
No, we have to be very creative about how we do it. It either has to be with pre-recorded on one end and then sending it to somebody else to record on top of it. And so it has to be strategically set in that way. We do have a theater that we're going to be performing on stage, but we're going to have to be separated. We're separated enough anyway in the show, but even more so now. Fortunately, our dancers are married couples, and we have, so that's really our only way of trying to be creative with the COVID situation. Everybody's trying to figure out new ways of packaging their performances. Fascinating.
All right. Well, thank you for giving us your time tonight.
Thank you.
It was really wonderful.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything? No. Okay. All right. Well, then I'm going to end this, and thank you again. And we'll see you next. Those of you who are still here, we'll see you guys next week. And good luck again, Anna Maria.
Thank you very much, Steven. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for having me. Take care. Have a good night.